It is a good night to talk college football. Every night is a good night to talk to the voice of college football. And we appreciate everybody being here for another late notification live stream. And I must admit, one of my major motivations for tonight's live stream is to test out the new camera equipment. So hopefully many of you can tell that we've got a new camera because it should look so much better than it typically did. And I apologize for being a couple minutes late. But first of all, you regulars know that I'm always late. I'm working on that, but I'm always late. Let's just face it. I'm always late. And hopefully I'll be able to correct that. Maybe that will be the New Year's resolution for 2022, as it was in 21, 20, 19, 18, 17, 16, and 15. All right. So, of course, we will have the call-in lines open here in just a minute. And again, I'm testing out the equipment. So from about 3 o'clock this afternoon until 8, God bless my man Marty, because he was on the phone with me through much of this. I had to make a mad dash to Best Buy to work out the camera situation to finally get the new Canon up and running. That's been upstairs in my bedroom in the corner since Christmas time. So I thought, number one, why don't we test this out tonight? So I had thought that earlier, and my son just went home, and I love the late night call-in shows. You guys know that. And then also on top of that, I saw a comment come in just about 15 or 20 minutes ago, just right about the time that I sent out the notification for the live stream, a very unfair and ridiculous comment that, while I say unfair, I appreciate all the comments that come in. So please understand that I appreciate all the comments, and I will make an apology right now to everyone. And this probably won't change anytime soon, that I don't get back to many comments. So the issue there is that if I spend all my time responding to comments on 22 channels, I would never produce any content and build this platform for all of us to take part in. So if I was commenting back to everybody and responding, then unfortunately we wouldn't have these kind of discussions. We wouldn't have this platform, and I wouldn't produce the content that I do. So I appreciate all the comments. Please know that I do. I see the comments. I respond to a few. I respond to some. I don't get to many of them. I typically don't even get back to the best comments. So I hope all of you understand that. I think that the comment section is more for all of you to discuss with each other and strike up comments and arguments and debates with each other than it is necessarily to talk to me. But I will do better, probably more so from the standpoint of responding to the comments via live streams and video reactions to the comments, rather than actually going in there and commenting directly. So again, I feel bad about that on a regular basis. Pretty much every day I feel bad about that, because I see the comments rolling in on all the channels, and I think, should I take an hour and respond to a portion of these comments? But really, I think that I better serve you and the channels and the growth of the channels and the platform overall by sticking to the game plan. So I appreciate everybody being here. We got 23 on the line. And again, just a late night notification. Bam, we're here. We're going to talk some college football with all of you. Numbers 860-499-3332. But in addition to testing out the camera, which we tested out offline this afternoon, so I think I hope we look better. We should look better. There's been a major investment involved in looking better. This is one step. This is just one step. So let me know what you think. If the picture quality is better, it better be better. I couldn't white balance the camera, though. I went through the guide. I went through the instructions manual. I couldn't figure out how to. I found nothing in there about white balancing the camera. It should automatically white balance, I would think, in 2021, but at the same time that there should be an option to manually white balance. And for any of you that worked in video production, I did for many years, and hauled around a camera on my shoulder for a few years, way back in the beginning. I was used to white balancing the camera Of course, you had somebody hold up a sheet of paper or they had a white shirt on and you would white balance the camera, which makes sure that the other colors, white, starting with white, but through the rainbow, are all represented accurately in the picture, of course. And your greens don't look like blues and your pinks don't look like peach and all of that. This is the comment, though. This is the comment that came back to the channel of an old video that I probably posted maybe a year ago, possibly 2 years ago, when I was running through disputed national championships, which many of you know that I think they're all disputed. When it comes right down to it, I think they're all disputed. They should all be disputed to varying degrees. Did Alabama earn its national championship in 2020? Yes, they did. That's not my point. The playoff system is faulty, but Alabama clearly was the best team and earned the national championship. Now, the teams that were selected for the playoff, that's another matter. And that's part of my claim that every national championship could be disputed. It's either based on the vote, it's based on the BCS formula being faulty, it's based on the current system being faulty, and it's then going to be based on the next system, even if it's 12 teams being faulty, although all the teams that should be in play at that point are going to be there, whether they have earned a bye or not, and most likely not. All right, so I wanted to get to this comment because these kind of comments amuse me, because I received one a few days ago saying that I was a phony. So somebody who never comments to the channel in any way, shape, or form on the Florida State show the other night called me a phony. They weren't specific about how I was a phony, except for saying that when I'm on the Florida State shows that I trash Miami, and when I'm on the Miami shows that I trash Florida State, which is humorous considering that, first of all, I don't do that. Secondly, that I would be rather moronic, considering that there are tons of Miami fans in the Florida State live streams, and there are a ton of Florida State fans in the Miami live streams. There are college football fans, as you guys well know, more than any other channel, I believe, out there. We've got a cross section of fans. So people communicate, video is saved, it's all posted. It would be stupid of me to try to speak out of both sides of my mouth. On top of that, that's just not how I am. That's not how I conduct my life. And forgive me for keep looking over here. I'm just making sure the shot looks decent. Looking at the shot. This is kind of more what I had in mind. We're nowhere near where we need to be in regards to video production, the lighting, the camera work, the set, anything, but we're getting there. And maybe this is a major step in the right direction. At least I like the width of the shot, the depth of the shot better than just being focused on me. So I like this better. So, and I will get to all your comments, of course, in the live chat in just a second. I wanted to go to this one comment that I found rather amusing. This was in response to a video that I posted. Again, I don't exactly remember when, but in the last year or two, concerning BYU's national championship of 1984, when I was running through disputed national championships. And if you're into that sort of thing, you can search on the front page and find my videos posted on disputed national championships of 1983, 84, 90, 91, 96, and 2000. So this comment in particular came in. So I appreciate all the comments. I stated that off the top. I truly do. I appreciate all the comments, even the people that call me an idiot. I appreciate those to some degree. I don't want to have too many of those to deal with, but I especially appreciate those of you who just flat out support me and say, great job, Mark, and all those kind words. And then other people that just want to add to the football discussion. Those are great. That's why we're here. This person in particular, this was amusing. This person in particular stated, and there are a lot of great comments that came in concerning the 1984 national championship replay is what I called it here, where, of course, that involved a BYU as 13-0 national champions, number one in the final polls. And then Washington defeated Oklahoma in the Orange Bowl. Those were the other two teams considered for the national championship. So we had John Evans, who said, "Enjoy your work, Mark. I truly believe Washington would have destroyed BYU," and he had his opinion. We had 12 replies to that. We had Christopher Foote. Okay, this is the one that just came in about 45 minutes ago from Christopher Foote. "Why don't you report the truth?" Okay, that's a big word, the truth. So there are facts, and facts are typically truth. They're close to being the same thing, although there is a difference. But okay, why don't you report the truth? BYU was ranked number one. So that was very astute of him concerning the video, because that was the whole point of the video, that BYU was ranked number one. So yes, why don't you report the truth? Brigham Young was ranked number one. Yeah, that was the point of the video. That's why the video was even created and produced and posted, was because BYU was ranked number one. Nice job, Christopher Foote. Okay, secondly here, Pittsburgh is only good if they have Dan Marino, ? BS. Okay, I stated in the video because BYU won a week one game against Pitt, who was ranked number 3 in the country at the time of kickoff. And that's why we've got to explore a little bit further. So some people, if it serves their point, they like to gravitate to the rankings at the time of the kickoff. And sometimes those rankings are meaningless, such is the case right here. Pitt was the number 3 team in the country preseason. That Pitt team, that 1984 Pitt team that was preseason number 3, finished with 3 wins. So they weren't the number 3 team in the country. They were a bad football team. They were a team that won 3 games in a full football season. They were 3-7-1. They were a bad football team. So yes, Pittsburgh is only good if they have Dan Marino. Well, not technically. I made some kind of snide remark about Dan Marino wasn't there. Pitt was no good. They weren't the number 3 team in the country. They finished 3-7-1. So beating Pitt by 6 points actually is a black mark against the resume, not a good point on the resume. Okay. I think that's pretty easy right there. That's not even debatable. And then he states here that Michigan was a very good team in spite of their record. Okay. When we throw around terms like good, great, decent, okay, it has to be placed into context and has to be defined. When you say good team, was Michigan one of the 40 best teams in the nation? Yes. They were one of the 40 best teams in the nation. Was Michigan the type team that should have been playing a team in a bowl game, a team that was competing for a national championship? Was a team that was competing for a national championship, should they have been playing a team that was the 40th best team in the country? Don't really think so. BYU and Michigan were tied at 17 before BYU scored late to beat them by a touchdown. It was not an impressive win. Was Michigan good? Again, relatively speaking, they were better than a lot of teams in the country. Were they good? Were they Michigan good for 1984? No. You could go from the mid to late 60s until the Rich Rodriguez years at Michigan, 2008, for 45 years. Look at 45 years from the late 60s to the 2008 range. And that is the worst Michigan team, the worst Michigan team in 45 years. So he's calling good the worst Michigan team in 45 years. That was the team that a team that's competing for the national championship should be playing. So when you say Michigan was a very good team in spite of their record, no, they weren't. Relatively speaking, were they better than other teams in the country? Well, of course they were, but they were a 6-6 football team. They weren't good. It was the worst Michigan football team in 45 years. And then his last point is again wrong, even though he states fact. Air Force was top 25, fact. And I thought, Mark, did you screw up here? Maybe you screwed up. I don't believe that you did, because I don't just shoot from the hip and knock these videos out and think, I know what happened in 1984. I can just shoot a video. Boom. No, I double check my memory, of course. And so I thought, well, of course, I make mistakes. Maybe Air Force snuck into the top 25. Well, first of all, there was no top 25. So, Christopher, you again don't know what you're talking about, because you're citing a top 25 that didn't even exist in 1984. There was no such thing as a top 25 in 1984. The top 25 didn't exist until 1989. So you are a moron for stating the top 25, that Air Force was in the top 25. There was no top 25. Air Force did not finish ranked. They were a decent team, 8-4 in the WAC. They were okay. They were probably, again, one of the top 50 teams in the country. They were okay. They finished 8-4, and they didn't finish ranked. They were never ranked the entire season. Never. Let's take some calls. So basically, my response was all of that. My response was all of that. Let's hit the phone lines here. I believe we've got William on the line. Welcome to the Voice of College Football.
Yes, I have a question for you.
Yes, sir.
Do you think Joe Paterno is the greatest football coach of all time, or at least top 5?
So William is asking, I had to switch you over to the audio board here. William is asking if I believe Joe Paterno is a top 5 all-time coach. I think he's in that range. So let's put aside the scandal, the Jerry Sandusky stuff, and what anyone believes that he should or should not have done. We'll just stick to the football on the field. I believe I would rank Nick Saban and Bear Bryant above Joe Paterno. I believe Urban Meyer, Bobby Bowden are right in that range. Urban Meyer was more successful, but for a shorter period of time. Obviously, Joe Paterno was there from, 66 through 2010 or 11. And the other thing to consider there, 2011. So the other thing to consider there, William, of course, you sound like a Penn State fan, would be that Joe. Oh, you're not? Okay.
I'm not a Penn State. I just watched some documentary on a movie on Paterno and how the whole scandal stuff, and it just brought back stuff that I heard about Joe Paterno in the 80s, how Penn State was dominant with him, and how he graduated 85% of his players.
Yeah. So again, you could take all that into consideration in regards to how well he led young men and how important academics were to him, and then the scandals late, and either improve his rating or decrease it, or you could just stick to the football. And that's one of the reasons why we have to be careful with national championships, because Joe Paterno won 2 national championships, technically 1982, 1986, but he had 3 other teams that could have been voted the national champion, and that's not his fault. He won all the games. So he could claim, or somebody could claim, Penn State 5 total national championships under Joe Paterno and be completely in the right, or have a valid claim for that. But he has the most wins ever, and one of the best winning percentages, and one of the best bowl winning percentages of all time. So yeah, he's right in that top 5 range. I would have to make a list and list it out and really look at who else is competing. But off the top of my head, I've got him in that 5 range. Sure.
I agree with you, but if you consider with that sex scandal stuff, Paterno's legacy kind of just got ruined with that. He was supposed to go out as the greatest coach of all time in Penn State, best ever. The sex scandals hit, and that's what just ruined his career, football-wise.
Well, it did. He would have stayed coaching. He was still churning out pretty successful teams. and he would have been the coach for, even though he was pretty much near the end, he was what, 80 at the time. He wasn't going to coach for too much longer anyway.
But he died 2 months after he got fired.
Yeah. Yes, he did. You know, it's similar to O.J. Simpson's legacy. If we just want to judge football, whether that be in the NFL or in college, O.J. Simpson is one of the very best of all time. But people just don't want to talk about O.J. Simpson much. They just don't want to bring him up because of what he did. And so he gets discredited from a football standpoint. I'm not in any way condoning what he did as a person because it was deplorable, disgusting.
Yep.
But as a football player, O.J. Simpson's one of the greatest of all time, but people tend to just not mention him.
I agree with you on that. But I have a weird feeling if Joe Paterno was still alive today and he didn't die like 2 months after he got fired, I think he could probably pretty much clear his name from all that stuff that happened in 76, 99, 01, and I think he probably could clear his name from all that.
Well, I don't know. Did you see something in this documentary that leads you to believe that he could clear his name?
I saw something saying like he didn't know anything from 2001. Well, whenever Sandusky did get there, Sandusky did do stuff in 76 that Paterno did know, but I think Paterno in his mind was just that football mindset, and he didn't take concept of what was really going on until 2001. Whenever he first figured out that's what Sandusky was doing, so which leads to believe me that Paterno probably heard that kid say that, but he wasn't really thinking, wasn't in like the right mindset to take it all in until he was much older.
Yeah, that to me doesn't sound like a valid excuse. You're not in the right mindset? What does that even mean? If you're not of the right mindset, then you shouldn't be leading a major football program.
I saw something like the kid came up to Paterno, but he started like blabbering too much to him, or like Paterno couldn't hear him, and he just kind of walked off, something like that. Like I don't condone what Sandusky did, but I just have something weird that Paterno, if he was alive another year or so, I think him and his family could probably cleared his name from what happened.
Well,
but no one will ever know.
Yeah, anytime there's a situation like this, and the most recent one is Bo Schembechler at Michigan, it would be nice to have that person still be with us to answer and for us to come to a better determination whether they're guilty or not, or it's somewhere in between, that there are things that we could blame them for, but also better understand the circumstances. But those individuals are no longer with us, so we've got to go with, and so much of it is not documented. It's just people's stories, a lot of it, especially in the Schembechler situation. But when there's just droves of people, when we're talking about 25 and 30 people coming forward, then it's difficult to ignore.
I agree with you on that. Like, Paterno should have handled it differently. He should have never. Paterno should have pretty much gone to the police with that stuff, but he didn't, which will lead people thinking like, did he really care? But no one will ever know what he thought during that incident because he's gone now. But I'm not condoning like Sandusky. Sandusky's a scumbag. He should never be let out of prison ever for what he did.
Agreed.
That's all I had for you.
Well, I appreciate the call. Thank you, William. Have a good night.
You too.
So again, folks, I simply decided 45 minutes ago to have a live stream tonight. And you guys know that I do that sometimes. I need to set a live stream schedule. I know that. I did that a few years ago, and I actually kept it for a couple of years where I was I kept myself accountable to my live stream schedule, but I'm all over the place right now. Now, Wednesday night, we are here every Wednesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern time. And we do have our 6 team specific live streams that we hit each week. 2 Miami, Oklahoma, Florida State, Ohio State, Nebraska. And we've done a few Oregon recently. voiceofcollegefootball.com, folks. voiceofcollegefootball.com. I'm working on a fantasy football league for the fall. I just signed up for one. Now I got to figure out how to connect that to the website and get that all worked out. But I signed up for a fantasy football league. So I would love, and so hang tight, and hopefully we can put together a fantasy football league that we'll have available at voiceofcollegefootball.com. Also, a pick'em league. So I know people love to make predictions. So you guys make predictions. You can match up your picks against my picks. We'll all have a good time matching up our picks and competing against each other. Hopefully, again, I'm not going to make any promises because there's a lot of work that needs to be done to put it together the right way. But I've signed up for a Yahoo College Football Pick'em League, and then I need to connect that to the site again, voiceofcollegefootball.com. In the meantime, just go to voiceofcollegefootball.com, register for free at the top of the screen. voiceofcollegefootball.com, go to the top of the screen, register for free, and we'll go from there. Check out the merchandise. Go to the store. Many of you have been shopping at the store. I didn't realize this till the other day. Many of you have been shopping at the store, so there must be some amazing items at the store. So go to the store on voiceofcollegefootball.com. You'll see some great college football products there. We may... I was hoping that this whole mask period was by us, had passed us by in the United States. Maybe not. We have given away a ton of free masks, like 130, and we may give away more. What leads me to that is we will have a $25 gift card giveaway. So for many of you, for several weeks, I promoted a $25 gift card $25 gift card giveaway. That's what it would be, a gift card giveaway, $25. And so we have not forgotten about that. I made a phone call the other day to line that up and get that set. So we will get that to you. Also, merchandise. Look at this beautiful baby, courtesy David Knight. So our goal, what we want to do is to be able to have a number of these shirts, whether they be long sleeve t-shirts, short sleeve, polos, hoodies, black, red, silver, white, and maybe some different configurations and versions of the logo. Maybe a nice one that I'm sure most of you would like with me giving it one of those. I'm sure that you would love that. We'll have those available. What I need to do is to basically, I was just gauging interest the other night. So some people wrote me, which I asked for. So thank you for that. Wrote me and said, hey, I'd like an extra large black or whatever it was. And then I let you know. And that the best and most efficient way to handle this is that we will provide a link. So as soon as I can find the right store with the best pricing and all of that, and we also want to have quality material. And so that's out of my league, but I'm going to have to take that on. So we will get to that. Got roster breakdowns: Ohio State, Clemson, Alabama, Clemson, Ohio State, Michigan, and a few other teams I'm forgetting right now. Roster breakdowns, more to come. Texas A&M, I believe I will post tomorrow. Remember our live shows. Our next one is coming up Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern, Nebraska Live. Tuesday night at 8 o'clock Eastern. And actually tomorrow night I'll be here at 7. There's a big Notre Dame commit coming in at 7 o'clock tomorrow night. So we'll have Nathan Urbach on the line for that, and we'll take your calls as well. Man, would this be George gracing us with his presence once again tonight? George, how you doing tonight?
Hey, is it my turn?
It's your turn. You're up.
All right. I just like to make sure. Man, the camera looks good. The sound is crisp. The chat's rolling along smoothly. Everything's functioning perfectly.
Perfectly. Well, I would like to think so, but you never know what's coming up next. Yes, I'm anxious to actually watch this for a few seconds. I can't watch myself for more than a few seconds, but anyway, to watch it long enough after the replay to see what it looks like.
Right. Hey, just in case you need a rebuttal, if anybody ever brings up Paterno or Jeffrey Epstein or the Clintons or the Pope or any of that shit, never in the history of the world, I'm 61, have I seen anybody ever prosecuted for the gory stuff they say they do to kids. The details have never been revealed ever because it seems it goes to the highest echelons of power. They either die or retire and die, or it's just rumor and innuendo. You follow me? It's never on TV with cameras and showing you what happened and the names and the faces. It drives you insane, doesn't it? Just thinking that this is really going on and you can't catch anybody and publicly hang them.
Yeah,
anyway,
with some of those people that you're bringing up, they have enough money and power to make things go away.
It's amazing that the world really works that way.
Thank you, Elias.
Anyway,
appreciate the comments and everybody else. Yes, go ahead, George.
Yeah, I just want to get that over with because I don't want to rag on Penn State. I feel sorry for the fans. It ain't the fans' fault, What a shame. Take that glorious tradition and do that, and now there's the crap at Michigan. And I have a feeling it could be anybody, anytime now. You know what I mean? Just somebody open your mouth and start telling on what happened. It could happen to anybody. No one's safe. Ohio State had their stuff because some guy slapped his wife, which you shouldn't do. But I'm just saying.
Well, that's what I find funny about all this, George, is anytime that there's something like this that happens at a particular school and then their rival schools and other schools' fan bases jump on them and enjoy it. And like there couldn't be breaking news tomorrow. Exactly. Like that it happened at Florida or Ohio State or Washington or wherever. Right. It can happen anywhere.
Right. It's a cheap shot for fans to take advantage of that. Cause like you say, it could be you tomorrow. Not you, but it could be Florida. We had Aaron Hernandez, infamous Aaron Hernandez.
Everybody has something.
Anyway, this damn national name, image, likeness thing, I just can't get over this, man. I just can't get over it. Everybody can just tell the player, it has to be like whatever would happen in the realm of normalcy. So if a company says to a kid, I'll give you $50,000 or $100,000 to put your picture on a Wheaties box, that's legitimate. That's worth $100,000-$250,000. This could just spiral. How about if Bank of America wants you to be their college football player on their? How is this not buying players?
So what is the issue that you have with it, George? What's the problem?
Well, I don't have any issue at all. I don't have an issue because it's going to happen anyway. The handwriting's on the wall. But it's just going to come down to there's like a top 12, top 15 teams. Nobody from outside that's ever getting in, no matter what.
Well, George, let's back up.
Right now,
let's back up a second because I got a question for you. Just because something's inevitable doesn't make it right, and that you should be okay with it. There are going to be people murdered in the next week. That doesn't mean I should just say, "Well, that's the way it is. It's okay." But so if you've got a legitimate reason that you don't like this, and I do as well, but I just don't. I see the benefits, and I see the legalities of it just so heavily on the side of the players, just based on us being in a free country, that they should be able to profit.
I think the way it should be handled is this. Any player that gets a name, image, likeness deal, they get the top 25% tax-free. The rest of the money pays the taxes, and the university will make sure that goes as well as it can go. And then they put all the rest of them. So say that's another 15% tax. That's 25. That's 40%. The rest of it goes into a kitty so that every single player on that team shares in that money. Every freaking practice squad player, everybody. this is not going to work when one guy's getting $250,000 and everybody else is getting zero. That's bullshit.
Well,
every player should be getting $3,000 a month or $3,000 a week or whatever it comes out to at that point.
That's a valid claim, but the counter argument,
they should have
but the counter argument
should get a quarter.
The counter argument, though, of course, George, is not everybody's equal. Everybody's equal. Hang on, before somebody clips that off and throws that out on the internet, you know what I mean. Everybody's equal in the regards to under God, we're all equal and we all should be the same. But in terms of their performance, they're not equal.
I agree. I want to see Kyle Trask run out there by himself and win a game without the other 10 guys.
There are better players than other players. There are players that are worth more. Just like in the NFL, they don't, at least we don't know of issues for the most part in locker rooms. And there are guys making $25 million playing next to guys that make $800,000. They all work together and play football.
It's a messed up system, especially. This can't happen in college. It's not right. They're amateurs. At least once you get NFL, you're getting your own paycheck. I mean, there should be the people that get the name image like this deal should have to share it with their brethren.
Okay, but
it's a free.
Here's the problem, George, is that I agree with you. I would love to go back to 1960 and say they're amateurs and they're being given a very valuable thing with a scholarship and food money and all of that. But we don't treat them in both positive and negative ways. They're not treated like amateurs. They're treated like professionals. So that's to their benefit. They get to play. They get to be treated like they're royalty, and they get the red carpet rolled out for them wherever they go and all of that. And they play in these plush stadiums and they play in these plush locker rooms at these ridiculous facilities that cost hundreds of millions of dollars and all of that. But then on the downside, they are truly treated like professionals, like they are put to work like professionals. So if we're not going to treat them like professionals from the standpoint that benefits them, we also need to scale back considerably the amount of workload that we put them and treat them truly like amateurs, like they just go to practice for a couple hours a day and that's all they do. And it's like a true college sports team, like it should have been. And was decades ago. But George, we're not going to reverse that. That was decades ago.
Right.
There's too much money being made.
It's worse for the college. It's worse for the college player. He's got to go to class and pass basket weaving at the same time. It's insane.
George, I'm looking at your comments. How do they do it? And I don't know why this is hitting me right here, because these are nowhere near the funniest comments you've ever put on here. And I know that you weren't attempting to be funny, but George, I got to say, don't let this go to your head, but you are one of the funniest people that I've come across.
Yeah, it doesn't go to my head because I was just born that way.
Yeah,
I'm not like working hard.
I routinely read through your comments and you leave so many. You understand that I appreciate them, even though I really can't take the time to respond to them all the time. I see them and they always make me smile. I'm not a guy that just laughs at anything. So they make me break out in a big smile.
You having said that, on the shows I do go on, mostly you and Pete now, it's off season, but it's not just me with the funny stuff though. There's a lot of, it's amazing the intelligence and the everything, the knowledge, and
you are right.
I mean, I agree. I am a little bit of a comedian. Maybe I should be in Vegas, I say as a joke sometime, but there's a lot of cool people in there that make cool comments.
Oh, you are right. Yes, absolutely. It's just because you've been doing it for, you come to mind for me because, again, you've got a unique brand of humor, number one. Number two, you've been doing it for a long time and supporting me for a long time and calling and leave so many comments that obviously you've made your mark. Pardon the pun.
I'm 61 years old and I know how to use a cell phone because I was walking across the street one day in a crosswalk and holding my phone in my hand. You know how your phone listens to you and stuff, and my phone said, "Speak now." I didn't know you could talk to your phone. And I finished across the street, and I look at my phone, and there's a speaker on it, a microphone. I talked, and it took me to some channel. And I was like, wow. So that's what makes it fun for me in the chat, because I'm talking like, I'll say people's name like David Greenshield and put an exclamation mark. and I don't have to touch my phone. You know, I just
that's
say
phenomenal.
it, and it makes it easy.
Oh my goodness.
Yeah.
I need to learn how to do that because I hate texting and typing on a phone. Oh, I hate it.
Yeah.
Hate it.
Mark, I just bought a brand new phone, and I can't talk on my phone and Google shit while I'm on the phone, like with you right now.
Yeah.
But my old phone, I could do both at the same time. Can you imagine it? I could give my phone voice commands while I was on the phone with somebody else and do two things at once. And I go get a brand new phone and it doesn't do that. I'm so frustrated because now I have to type if I'm talking on the phone, and I just can't bring myself to do it. I'm used to the easy way.
You've said two very important things tonight, in addition to all this conversation that I've enjoyed immensely. Everybody buy a T-shirt from Mark. So George has told us all that. Then we'll all have the same T-shirt, and eventually we'll bump into somebody else in society wearing the same shirt.
It will happen somewhere eventually.
Yes, I'll sell.
If we just keep buying them.
47 shirts, and out of 330 million Americans, you guys will bump into each other. Then of course, shop Amazon and use the link in the description section. Thank you so much for reminding everyone. It doesn't
cost anything. It's just to benefit you. It doesn't cost a penny. It's just a portal, a connection between, you know how it works.
I do. It's good stuff, George. I've got a couple other calls on here. You got anything else for me?
One last thing.
Yep.
One last thing about football. This is what spins my head about football. It appears whoever has the biggest offensive and defensive line is in a good shot for going to the playoffs every year. They can work around shit like not having a quarterback. You know, even Georgia got there. There's only so many of these 6'6", 380-pound guys around in the country, right? So it's going to dry up. It's going to become a top 16, top 20 teams, and then everybody else after that with what's going on. But on the bright side, all the kids at the smaller schools are still going to get their deals because they're still important to that smaller school, even though it never has a chance in hell of getting to the playoffs or winning. They're still going to get some money for the star players. So they'll still be able to get, second tier players.
To back up your point, George, I just grabbed my Athlons magazine here, and not that Athlons knows everything, but this is just one slice to back up and confirm what you just said. In their offensive line rankings, Ohio State number 1, Alabama number 2, Georgia number 3, Clemson number 4. Their defensive line rankings, Clemson number 1, Ohio State number 2, Georgia number 3, Alabama number 4.
Mm-hmm. So when people talk about Oregon winning a national championship, I think about them playing Auburn. And it was just so evident from the first play. Like Auburn had a massive wall of bodies, and Oregon didn't look like that. So you got to have that line. It's just from the intimidation, if nothing else, perspective. Like you're like, oh my God, I got to play against these guys. They're like 4 inches taller than us and outweigh us by 140 pounds each.
Good point. And George, it's also because people confuse the difference between making the playoff and winning the national championship. Getting out of the Pac-12 or the Big 12 to get to the playoff, that's a great accomplishment. That's amazing. You won your conference. You only lost one game or no games or whatever. But to go from there, where you beat Iowa State or USC or Washington, and that was your toughest game, to then having to beat the two teams that you have to beat to win a national championship, that's a whole different level of football.
Yeah. And I agree with what you said. You thought we were out of the math thing, and now you're not sure. I mean, I can't even take this anymore. Please just tell them to stop, Mark. You have a platform. Send out you a letter and tell them to stop already.
Yeah.
Say we'd all rather die than see your face again. Tell them that on behalf of your viewing audience.
George, I couldn't deliver that line
just stop.
Like you.
We're done with that.
All right, George, I'm going to take a couple other calls. I appreciate it.
Stuff.
Have a good one.
Have a good night. Bye.
I'll see you.
You too.
Our man, George. And so, Samuel, Here's a guy that we've just seen recently join the live chat. So I appreciate seeing Samuel here recently. And again, would always love to know who you guys root for and how long you've been watching. But Samuel, thank you so much for the nice comment. If you missed the beginning of the show, I know that many of you don't care, and I don't say that in a disparaging way. I'm serious. It doesn't matter, to many of you. You just want good college football talk and analysis and discussion and debate and all that. So you don't care about the camera, but I do want this to look much better, and we're working on it. So I've had this camera since Christmas. I bought this new camera, but and to actually use the camera isn't a big deal. You're like, Mark, why it's July? Why haven't you broken out the camera to use it? I actually have. I just set it up. Took me like 45 minutes to set it up and actually use it like a regular person would use it. But to integrate it into a soundboard and, the Mac, and then we're going to have a switcher and all this other stuff with graphics and all the other stuff that goes along with it. Well, that's to do for a live stream and to do for videos. That's a whole other level of setup. So I had to order just a bunch of different cables and so forth. And then they didn't have the right cables. And I went down to Best Buy, even though the people on Best Buy, I love you, but you told me over the phone that you had the cable. Then I got down to that Best Buy and they didn't have it. Anyway, they had the adapter. At least they had the adapter, but I didn't want the adapter. I wanted the cable. So Samuel, thank you so much for just acknowledging that you're here for the knowledge and the debate and the discussion. Oh, the attitude too. Good stuff there. All right. Next call coming in here at the Voice of College Football. And again, want to remind everyone that we're going to go live Monday at 7:00 Eastern time. And some of that discussion is going to be surrounding Notre Dame football and a huge commit that's coming in. But of course, we're going to talk all of college football. Here we got Andrew from Alaska. Welcome to the Voice of College Football.
Hey, Mark. Thanks for having me. It's cool to call in.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Yeah, absolutely. And just really quickly as an aside, I make YouTube videos as well. But for music-related stuff. And I just got a new camera for my birthday, and I've been putting off learning it because I know it's going to be, a learning process and all that. And at the same time, I continue uploading stuff. And then the folks who got me the camera, I'm like, are they going to be pissed that I'm not using the camera that they got me? But I totally hear you on learning the new stuff.
So, Andrew, do you produce music, or do you sing, or do you just watch music videos? What do you do?
So I am a drummer, and so I do drum cover videos.
Oh, those are cool.
Where I play along. Yeah, they're a lot of fun. There's actually a really big community for it on YouTube. There's a lot of content creators who do it, and I just started doing it last October. But it's just been a blast.
Drop a link in our chat so people can check you out, and if I'm able to recycle the chat, and I'll be able to find it because most people that are drummers that are on YouTube, I'm guessing, are either jazz musicians, but probably most of them are just like rock, like classic rock, heavy metal kind of drummers. Is that you?
Yeah, I do a little bit of everything, actually. So I just hit 100 subscribers last week, which was pretty cool. So I finally hit that 100 mark. But I do a little bit of everything, ranging from rock and metal to pop. My goal is to have one of the more diverse channels out there, because there's a lot of channels that do just rock or just metal, and I like having a little bit of everything in there.
So I can drop a request on you. I'll go join your channel.
Dude, that would make me really happy. Actually, I found you watching Steve Dace and Michigan podcast, but I just really enjoy the stuff you have.
Thank you. I appreciate that. So everybody, Andrew's going to drop the link to his channel. And if you have any interest in drum covers, I've caught probably 5 or 10 of these videos from various drummers. And there are certain things on YouTube, and this is one of them, that if you would have told me a few years ago, Mark, you're going to watch drummers drum to music that's already produced and there's the drums already, like, I would have thought, why would I'm not going to do that. But it's very entertaining. So I do watch. It's just like I watch people react to music videos, and I would have told anybody, I'm not watching that. Why would I watch somebody else watch a music video? But I do it constantly. So yeah, it's good stuff.
Yeah.
All right, sir, what you got?
So I just dropped it in. I just dropped the link in there, and I appreciate you letting me do that.
Absolutely.
So I was calling in because I'm a lifelong college football fan. I actually grew up in Ohio, so I'm a big Buckeye fan. And so I've never really watched the NFL, and I'm planning on trying it this year because Urban's going to be coaching again.
Mm-hmm.
And so my question for you, which I'm sure you've gotten before, is how do you think Urban Meyer is going to do in the NFL? Really curious to hear your thoughts on that.
It's a great question that I have answered a number of times. And I will give both sides of the coin, and then I guess I'm going to have to make a determination because I pretty much present both arguments. And both arguments are, number one, that successful people that know how to lead, in this case, young men, know how to do that at any level. And this guy's a master psychologist. He's a master organizer. He's a master motivator. He's a master leader of both the coaching level of coaching staff and then also the players. So you can take that to any level of football. And I think he would succeed in organizations as well, in corporations, because there's a certain portion of that. I don't think he's any kind of mastermind football coach, and I'm not under evaluating his football knowledge. I think the game is, I don't want to say is caught up to him, but I think that a lot of things that he did that were innovative when he was back at Utah are no longer, and that becomes more and more difficult as everybody catches up and everybody starts doing the same thing to stay ahead of the curve. People have mentioned his inability to handle defeat, to handle adversity, from the standpoint of he is so invested in winning and losing, which is a good thing, but you got to be able to have more of a moderate approach emotionally, mentally and emotionally in the NFL, because a good season's 11-5. You're going to lose 5 games. A good season, he may get his brains beat out for a couple of years and go 2-14, 3-13. That's a lot of losing. This guy doesn't lose 13 games in a decade in college. So I think he's smart enough to mentally give mental assent to that, to know he knows what a good season in the NFL looks like from a wins and losses standpoint versus a good season in college, where he was judged on basically that the bar was going 11-1 every year. And he knows he can't keep that pace up. There's no way to do that in the NFL. So he knows that mentally, but whether he can handle that emotionally and whether that drains him physically, I don't know. He knows that. So some people say, well, he's not going to be able to last in the NFL because he's going to hold himself to some kind of ridiculous standard that he can't in any way reach. And then other people say, well, he's smart enough to know that he can't succeed at the same rate. The Tim Tebow move is a bit curious. Now, we know why he did it. We know that he loves Tim Tebow, and I have no issue under normal circumstances of giving anybody an opportunity who's proven that at some level they can play football. But it just seemed, if this would have been like his 3rd season in Jacksonville, he would have had things settled. They would have been on an upward trajectory, and he would have been able to show that he has succeeded to some level and he's building the program. But to make that a further distraction, I don't necessarily think that was the best move, because what is the best that can happen from Tim Tebow being on the team? He can be a serviceable player. That's about the best he's going to be. He's going to make the team and be a serviceable player, which means he's going to catch 10 or 15 passes, and he's going to play some special teams, and he's going to be a positive influence in the locker room. What's the worst that can happen? He's a distraction. He could be viewed as somebody who, if he makes the team, was given a spot. If it's a close call, there's a lot more downside to that decision than upside. Now, I got to credit Urban Meyer for being his own man and saying, you know, I really don't care what anyone thinks. I'm going to do what I'm going to do. And the critics be damned. And this is what I decided. And we're going to bring Tim Tebow on. And if I had to guess, if somebody held a gun to my head, so what's our bar for success in the NFL for Urban Meyer? Like, what would you consider to be successful?
So again, I haven't watched the NFL like at all. So for me, it's like just kind of an outsider coming in. I mean, it'd be cool to see him make the playoffs.
Okay, making the playoffs.
Yeah, I don't think like winning the Super Bowl or anything like that, but it'd be cool to see him make the playoffs.
So if he's there for 5 years and he makes the playoffs once, you'll consider that successful. And I'm not saying that's wrong. I'm just trying to get a feel for what you're looking at.
Yeah.
The odds,
so the other thing too,
the odds are against him just because the odds are against most people. There are so many retread coaches in the NFL. Like if we made a list of successful coaches in the NFL versus unsuccessful ones, most, you know, I could list, I'm an NFL guy and I used to be even more so. I could list dozens, if not hundreds of NFL head coaches that went 5-11, 6-10, 3-13, fired, never coached again, were a line coach the rest of their careers, or Joe Bugle, or, you know, Rich Kotite. I could name a bunch of guys like that. That's most of the coaches in the NFL. There's a handful of guys that are successful. We know Belichick, of course, but Sean McVay and Mike Tomlin, and there's not that many guys that are successful. They eat up most of the playoff wins, those guys. There's 15 for every one that's successful. There's 15 that win 35% of their games for 3 years, then get fired.
Right. If I can kind of add something to my previous answer, I guess. So I'm going to watch him and, like, you know, obviously watch his team because I would like to see him back on the field. But another aspect to him being successful for me is, you know, I've heard a lot of people say that, you know, coaches will make the jump from college to the NFL and won't be successful, right? Like there's not a very good track record of coaches jumping from college to the NFL and being successful. So what worries me about it is that he would somehow, you know, tarnish his legacy. Like if he jumps into the NFL and then falls flat, like, you know, that would be really disappointing to see. So it would be cool to see him go in and do well, and not, you know, really tarnish the awesome legacy that, you know, he built.
Well, I will say this, Andrew, that if you're looking at the number of coaches or the percentage of coaches that go from college to the NFL that succeed, it's much higher now than it used to be, because I think one of the major reasons why is because the NFL used to be so much further ahead of college football, and college football used to be about 15 years behind the NFL in regards to scheme and offensive and defensive development and innovations. The college game, if you look at the 60s, 70s, 80s, used to always copy off the NFL. Now it's been the other way around for the last 10 or 15 years. The mobile quarterback, the running quarterback, the RPO, the spread formation, that came from college football. That's been copied. But when you watch the NFL today, you're watching college football. You're watching the NFL's only been doing that for 3 to 5 years. They're doing what college football has been doing since the early 2000s. And it seems like recently there have been more coaches like Pete Carroll that have been able to make that jump and be successful, more so than way back when it seemed like everybody failed when they moved to the NFL.
Well, I, again, really appreciate your insight. I just kind of wanted to hear what you thought about that. So I'll go ahead and jump off and let you have some other callers.
Yeah,
thanks a lot, Mark.
Yeah, thanks for calling.
Thanks for letting me plug my channel.
For sure. Good luck with it.
All right, thanks, man. Bye.
All right, we've got Jason coming up on the line here to talk about, I believe, the state of football and sports. Welcome to the show, Jason.
Hey, what's going on? It's something that I left.
Oh, this
out,
is Chase. Okay.
Yeah.
My voice
Something
recognition. My voice recognition screwed it up. I should have known.
Yeah, it's all right. But something that I left out on the last call when the show was football is the fact that the NFL has kind of put itself up on a pedestal where it's asserted itself as God of football, when that couldn't be further from the truth. They've almost become, with their egos, the quintessential God of football. So they're going to put out any ads and any and every ads that say, "Oh, football is all this agenda-driven garbage." When for me personally, if I have to sit through another football season of BLM every 2 to 3 minutes, I will highly consider never watching football again, because I consider sports my escape from politics.
Yep.
And escape from the real world. And when I come to a football game, I mean, that whole SEC, it just means more crap, where all they were talking about is what the coaches were doing, what Nick Saban, Mark Stoops, Dan Mullen, and all these other coaches were doing for the players. My question is, what has the NFL done for the black community? What has the NFL done for the smaller, less fortunate communities? What have they done? Nothing. What has the SEC done? Nothing. And now that you've put this letter of intent in, college football is now the new NFL, is essentially the minor league. There's no other way of putting it, but college football is no longer college football. They ought to rename it to minor league football for the NFL. They ought to rename it to that with this new NIL. And I wouldn't be shocked if in the next 10 years you see players only playing their freshman year in college and going pro. And it's going to turn it into the NBA. I wouldn't be surprised if you see that. If you see college football take the college basketball approach, where players can go out of high school, play their freshman year, and go immediately pro. Where you're going to see Joe Burrow-like years at freshman level and go pro and get drafted in the first round. That's going to be the next thing. They're going to target the draft eligibility and lower it all the way down to freshman. If not, remove the eligibility to make it where you could go immediately out of high school.
Well, Chase, the only reason I see that happening, so college football doesn't want that to happen, of course. They don't want their best players leaving the game. And the NFL, I don't believe, wants that happening, because they don't want a bunch of ill-prepared players that are too immature and physically immature to play the game. They're going to get these players soon enough. So they've got enough players. So the people that are going to force that to happen, if it happens, I think, are the players themselves. They're going to fight that legally and say we should have the right to go play in the NFL whenever we want. So I'm not saying it's not going to happen, but that would be the group of people that would push it.
I feel like with NIL, it's only going to open up this new can of worms, where eventually players are going to start saying, "Hey, I just did a great freshman year. Why can't I go pro now? I feel like I'm ready for the NFL after my freshman year. Why can't I go pro now?"
But Chase,
I feel like that's what's coming.
If they've not been pushing for that anyway, but now they have opportunity to get paid as collegiate athletes, why would they be pushing for that now?
Maybe to get a bigger payday, because you got to understand, college football with the money that you're going to make is going to be nothing compared to the NFL.
Sure.
Yeah, there's only going to be maybe a handful of players that are making bare minimum $1 million each season. I guarantee you the max is going to be around $1 million to $2 million at the height that the greatest player in college football at that time is going to make. So maybe they'd say, hey, I want a bigger payday of coming out of a freshman dominating season. That's where I'm kind of getting at in that sense, is that maybe they would want to go pro after their freshman year to get a bigger payday. Because eventually you're going to get a boatload of sponsors in. You're going to get sponsorship in college football, and that could corporatize college football to the point where a sponsor could say, hey, I want this freshman or sophomore guy that I put my money into to be able to go pro before his junior season. That's what I'm kind of getting at. Maybe the sponsors would pressurize a change like that to happen.
All right, Chase. Good points. I hear you.
Mm-hmm.
Anything else?
I mean, getting back to kind of the earlier point, I feel like if I have to sit through one more season where all I hear is 4 times an SEC game, what these coaches did on a BLM march, I will highly consider never watching another football game again, because I cannot deal with BLM and these agendas being shoved down my throat. It's just ridiculous.
Well, I don't know if you
on the game.
Sure. I'm with you, Chase. I don't know if you saw a live stream I did a couple of weeks ago after I saw an NFL ad that made me sick and disgusted, and that's what I focused the live stream on. I'm right there with you, Chase.
It's just, why focus on all these other things that don't matter to football and not focus on football itself? Why focus on all this other nonsense?
It doesn't even make good
instead
business
of the
sense.
game that's making you money.
It doesn't even make good business sense.
And the fact that you have players that are essentially calling sections of the fan base racist for not supporting their ideas, that's essentially saying, hey, we know you've been a loyal customer for us for 30, 40 years, but we're going to shove the agenda down your throat. We hope you stay with us. And then you look at that business a year or two later, 3/4 of their customers are gone. I mean, the NBA had the lowest playoff ratings in 11 years because of the BLM nonsense.
I hear you, Chase.
It seemed like last year BLM was a ticket to death for death of ratings. I mean, NASCAR had the worst ratings. They went from being steadily, decently in a ride, then went BLM, then lost half their viewership.
Chase, I appreciate the call.
I've ever seen.
Chase, thank you so much for the points. I'm going to move on to some other calls.
All right.
Appreciate it.
You have a good one.
You too. All right. Let's keep it rolling here. We've got, I believe, we're going to trust the voice recognition on this one. Jordan's got a point here, the voice of college football. What's up?
Hello, it's actually Talk is Pitt here.
There you
Mark
go.
Rogers.
I should never trust this voice recognition. Okay, what you got for us tonight?
Well,
who again is this?
This is Talk is Pitt.
Oh, Talk is Pitt. How you doing tonight?
Yeah, I'm doing pretty good. I was calling in to talk to you about a video you posted a few hours ago. It made me really, really laugh my ass off. Excuse my language. But the Florida State guy who had us only winning 4 games, I had to sit here and logically think why he would think that. And it has to be the fact that he's mad that we dropped 40-plus points on them when they were up 13-0. And then it just went downhill once they scored 13 points.
You heard my response. I immediately went to the schedule because I thought, my goodness, I know that they're going to win at least 3 of their non-conference games right out of the gate. So how in the world are they going to finish 4-8? Yeah, they're in the 7-5 range for sure. I don't see any way around.
Oh, definitely. I mean, I don't see. Yeah, I don't see us doing any worse than 7-5. That's the worst case scenario, in my opinion, for us. But also, there's a potential for us to go 9-3 with only UNC, Miami, and Clemson, and then maybe 8-4 with the game that we are meant to win that we don't, because we're Pitt. That's what we do. We lose games we're not supposed to, and then we beat teams like Clemson, Miami, UCF, Penn State, teams like that. Now, as far as Pat Narduzzi being on a hot seat, he's definitely not on the hot seat. They just extended his contract 4 more years.
I'm with you. I posted a hot seat video a few months ago, and I went with Justin Fuente and Dino Babers. Those were my 2 choices in the ACC.
Definitely. I think this year we're finally going to win, or not, how should I say? We're not going to lose 5 games or more, because that's what we have done for the past 12 years, is lose 5 games or more. And I think this year, finally, we're going to actually be able to win a decent amount of games and possibly pull off an upset, because there's just too much depth and talent on our team finally. I just don't see us losing all 3 of those home games against Clemson, Miami, or North Carolina. And I'm picking us to take down UNC, to be honest. I mean, you look at the time of the game, it's 8:00 at night on a Thursday, November 11th. It's freezing cold in Pittsburgh by then. They don't play well in cold weather. Mac Brown even said that in 2019 when we beat them. They just could not handle the cold weather.
Well, that may well be true, but it's not like North Carolina's Hawaii. It's much warmer there, but it's not. And November 11th in Pittsburgh at night, yeah, is it going to be cold? Sure, but it could be cold, could be 25, it could be 55 degrees the first week of November in Pittsburgh. I don't know that that's going to be a huge factor, and I'm surprised that Mac Brown would make excuses or even bring that up. You're basically saying your football team is weak. And I like Mac Brown, and most of the things I say about Mac Brown are very positive, but that wouldn't come out of my mouth. That may come out of my mouth in the locker room to tell them, let's not make excuses, whether it's 80 or 0 or whatever it is. We're playing under the same conditions as the other team. And if we're not strong enough and we're mentally weak, physically weak, that we can't play in 35-degree weather, that's pretty pathetic.
Oh, it definitely is, because I'm even saying North Carolina is clearly more talented than we are.
Sure.
They got a better quarterback. Their offensive line is better. They probably, I think they lost 2 of their star receivers, so that may be the only offensive thing we have over them, because we have great receivers, Jordan Addison, Jalen Barden, and the late addition to the 2021 class, we just added Cole Mitchell. He's, where is he from? I can't remember where he's from, and he's probably going to end up starting only because tight end is a spot we're thin at, but he's 6'6", 250. I can't remember where he's from, but he was a late addition, and then we're trying to go after an Alabama transfer, King Moik Tuba, I think that's how you pronounce his name. And we're trying to go after him because linebacker we're thin at too. After this year, we will have no linebackers. None.
Yeah, I got to do some research on Pitt. I know basically who you've got, but I need to do the deep dive on Pitt like I do a lot of other teams. So, yeah,
Yeah,
I was right
definitely.
there with you. I heard that comment. I thought, my goodness, they've got to go 3-1 non-conference. Then the other games at Tennessee, that's winnable. That's a toss-up. So they might go 4-0 and
Yeah,
shoot Syracuse and Duke right out of the gate. Not that they're playing them out of the gate, but you know what I mean in regards to counting up wins. Duke, Syracuse. There's 2 more.
definitely. Now, I don't think we'll lose to Georgia Tech. I know a lot of people have that as our 50-50 game or what they would call a trap game. But Georgia Tech's defense is absolutely horrible. And the only bright spot of Georgia Tech's offense is Sims. That's it. They don't have really anybody else. I do believe they lost their star receiver to the NFL. I don't know why people have Georgia Tech as a loss for us. That baffled me too.
I don't know. Talk is Pitt.
But yeah, that's pretty much all I wanted to say. I don't think Pat Narduzzi's on a hot seat. And, I mean, if he does bad this season, then yes, he will be on a hot seat next year after they just extended his contract. But I think he's good for now, at least.
All right, Talk is Pitt. Thank you so much for the call. Appreciate it.
No problem. You have a good night.
You too. And we will move it along, and I will never again trust this voice recognition. But somebody wants to talk about Les Miles, I believe. Welcome to the Voice of College Football.
Hey, it's Rod Farmer. Mark, how you doing?
I'm doing just fine. How are you?
Good. So, first of all, camera looks great, nice and crisp.
Thank you.
So, good job. Congratulations on getting it set up.
Appreciate that.
Just wanted to get your thoughts. Yeah. I'm not sure if you saw the story that came out about Les Miles there in that little scandal they got there at Kansas, where apparently a player was ratting out some of his teammates about selling drugs, and then they were threatening his life. So when that player went to Les Miles and said, "Hey, this is going on," he was like, "Hey, keep your mouth shut." Yada, yada, yada. And then apparently not only Les Miles, but the athletic department paid this guy $50,000 to just leave campus and to keep his mouth shut. Just wanted to get your thoughts on that. What do you think is going to happen with Kansas? And if anything else will happen to Les Miles after this, if more details come out?
Well, I have been doing other things, and I have not looked at any college football news today, except for right when I was setting up, I looked at the ESPN headlines, and that was the number one headline. So that's all I read was the headline. And so let's see. Former Kansas football player says the university offered him more than $50,000 in benefits, left the program, and stayed quiet about harassment he experienced from 4 other players on the team. Okay, so this happened 2017 and 18, apparently. Confrontation between Humphrey and the other players. Players threatened him. These kind of situations, if true, I don't understand. I don't understand people in authority giving their loyalty to people of little value. Like even if you're not going to do the right thing I say this all the time when we come across these situations, there are people who do the right thing for the right reasons because of they want to protect the innocent. They want to help the right people. They want to do the right thing for the right reasons. But then there are other people who just do the right things because it's smart. It's good business. I don't understand the loyalty that's given in these kind of situations. Like, who cares about these players? These players that apparently, if this is true, the players that were intimidating this other guy and harassing him, why would the university back them up and not just expose the issue and deal with it? That's
it's crazy. I know, because you think maybe one, they're just trying to save face, is trying to hurry and get it away before it gets public, or Les Miles trying to take even less, or even try to avoid more criticism after the mess he left at LSU.
Well,
it could be a combination of both.
When it says university officials, I wonder how high that up is, because if it truly is near the top of the food chain, then haven't these people learned that Americans will be forgiving if you show that people understand that incidents go on all over the place? You can't control everybody all the time, but if you are informed about a situation and you're in a place of power and you take care of that situation and do the right things and hold accountable the right people and all of that, that actually people are going to look favorably on that. This is just again stupidity. It's beyond the morally it's wrong, and then in terms of just from a standpoint of running I'll say business, it's not a business, but it's just stupid.
Especially on a program like Kansas, when you hire a high name profile coach like Les Miles, who by hiring someone like that, that shows that you're committed to actually maybe improving your program, and then you do something like this. So this just sets that program back even further now. How's that going to look to recruits and their parents? And, the university as a whole, what are they willing to cover up, just to save, just protect these players who, like you said, probably had very little value to begin with. So what are they doing? You know what I mean? And what could the NCAA do about this? Could this be a lack of institutional control, or could this be
sure? It's one thing to be lack of institutional control. To me means, and I think this has been backed up, means that things are going on within the football program that the head coach and the athletic director should know about, but they don't have enough awareness of what's going on, and some assistant coaches are doing some unethical things, and they again don't have control of the situation. But this is just flat out, you're given the information, you're given the story, and you do nothing with it. You ignore it, you pay it off. This goes way beyond that. This is, you're brought the facts, you're brought the story, and then you go to the point of not just ignoring it, but paying money to make it go away.
Yeah.
So yeah,
it's sad. It kind of makes you wonder what goes on in the bigger places. But
and what's funny, it's not funny, but what's ludicrous is that you go to those ends, you go to those lengths to take care of a situation like that, and it still comes back and bites you. So your money and everything you did still didn't take care of the situation for you.
Right. So it's a mess for sure. It kind of, this continued pile on of negativity on Les Miles, but for some reason I have a feeling it still won't get any type of media attention that it probably should, considering, he's no longer at LSU and it's taking place at a place like Kansas. So, no one's going to really care or make it as big of a fuss as, say, if it were like Urban Meyer or somebody. So that's all I really had. I know. Oh, go ahead.
Well, I was just going to say that I think that fortunately, and I will make one compliment of the NCAA, is that the penalties for these type situations seems to, they can never be perfect, because again, if you address the school, therefore the football program, you're penalizing people, innocent people. You're taking away scholarships, you're taking away from a coach who had nothing to do with it, you're taking away bowl participation and ability to compete from the players who had nothing to do with it. But at least they've in recent years followed the coaches to whatever destination, and they've penalized them to some degree. That's been pretty common in the last several years, to where that didn't take place decades ago.
Well, what the NCAA though has kind of made up for that though is for those athletes who are innocent in that sense, they're giving them the opportunity to leave and not have to sit out a year. Yeah, that's one thing that I've seen them improve on. I mean, and it started with the Penn State scandal, where they let those guys just go wherever they wanted. Hey, you can leave. And then with a couple other scandals here and there that happen at random places. But so, yeah, I agree with you on that sense. You know, the NCAA has improved slightly, I should say. I hate to use those words in the same sentence, but yeah, you're absolutely right on that aspect. So it kind of makes you wonder too, though, what's going to happen with Arizona State. You know, I don't know the full story. I know it's a bunch of random things like that, but like, how do you? I think what's going to happen is this puts the NCAA on a big tight spot too, because what are the guidelines of punishment for those type of infractions? You know what I mean? And it's kind of funny, like how quick they were to find out these things at a place like Arizona State that's not a traditional power. You know, whereas I'm sure this was not the only place that was going on where they weren't testing. They were giving other cash payments or things like that. So it's like, you know, it kind of goes back to that whole, you know, that stereotype of them playing favorites to the non-traditional powers. We know they let's say like LSU get away with some of these things, but yet when you have a program like Kansas or Arizona State making violations, you know, the NCAA is quick to drop the hammer. So, I mean, what exactly could happen to Arizona State? Same thing. Could that be lack of institutional control?
Well, again, I don't know if you saw the conversation I had with Michelle Gardner. She writes for the Arizona Republic. We posted a video the other day. I had a conversation with her a few days ago about the Arizona State situation. And again, just beyond the moral responsibility and the morality and the ethics of it, put that aside. I can't just bring myself to understand the stupidity of what do you gain by bringing a student athlete or two on campus to go to a football game, show them around campus when nobody else is doing this. Apparently nobody else is doing this. Are you really gaining that much? What's the risk reward here? Well, the risk is monumental. We see what the risk is. They could just get annihilated with violations. What was the reward of that? The reward would be that a decent recruit would sign with you. It's just unthinkable to me, the thought process of these people. Herm Edwards, in this case, and his coaching staff, but he's responsible. What could happen? Well, see, this is an unprecedented situation in a sense, because most recruiting violations are about competitive advantage. That's the reason you do it. You want to gain a competitive advantage. That's why you get slapped with fines, penalties, violations, scholarship reductions, whatever you get slapped with, is because you have done something to gain an unfair advantage and broken rules. In this case, you're also, depending on, regardless of what you think of the pandemic and how serious it was and all that, put that aside, just based on what the guidelines were and what the rules were, both from the standpoint of just to the population as a whole, but also under the guides of what was instituted by the NCAA of not visiting, it could be argued that they were putting these student athletes in danger. They were violating health restrictions and violating those guidelines and putting them in danger.
Right.
And that's unprecedented from that standpoint.
Right. I totally agree. It's just going to be really curious, what type of punishment the NCAA or even the Pac-12 will come up with. I'm sure in regards to I don't want to use the word neglect or I guess disregard would be a little bit of a better word of their testing and all that. I'm sure they'll get a pretty significant punishment on that. I'm probably sure they'll get some reduced scholarships, which is pretty standard. So I guess we'll see by the time the season starts. It is kind of funny though, because Herm Edwards is the whole moral high ground kind of guy, straight up guy. It kind of makes you wonder, just who all is there really anyone honest in college football other than anybody? You know what I'm saying?
It's disappointing.
Boy,
yeah, I am too old to put my trust or faith or anything in anyone. Like I outside of my family and my close friends, it doesn't surprise me who gets caught with doing whatever. But at the same time, I thought Herm Edwards seemed to be a good guy, and that doesn't mean he's not a good guy who just made a bad mistake. Everybody makes mistakes, but it does question. Again, he's cheating, but he's also cheating under certain circumstances that totally violate for a team that could only play 4 football games that had one of the worst COVID situations in the nation in that area. It's just, yeah.
Right. All right, Mark. Well, I know you got other callers. Good to talk to you as always. Good stuff. And I'll talk to you soon.
Appreciate it.
All right. Take care. Bye.
All right. Got another call coming in here. I apologize for a number of people that are leaving comments and questions that need to be responded to in the chat. Just when I get call after call after call after call, obviously I don't want to sit on comment number 1 in the chat. I'm still scrolling through the comments. So I've seen a lot of things that I would like to address. Jim Harbaugh in particular. Ballard, no, he's not going to beat Ohio State as it stands right now. Michigan's got a top 30 football team and Ohio State's got a top 3 football team, 3-5. It's not a competitive game right now. Things could change. My opinion could change between now and the last week of November, but we're sitting here in July and the gap between the two programs hasn't been this wide since 2010. So Ohio State's going to kill them this year. What's that mean? 5 touchdowns, 2 touchdowns, whatever it is, it's not going to be a competitive game. TFJ Boxing, so much. Thank you so much for the contribution, sir. I see you on there all the time. Thank you so much. Go FSU. Come on, y'all. Start helping out with super chats. Give what you can. So I'll address that real quick, just in regards to we're building a platform here. We're building out channels. I got 22 team channels. I'm running all over the place just in regards to trying to provide content for all these channels. And I think you guys would be surprised if you would look at my work day, because what I'd like to be doing is more educating myself on college football so I can be prepared to knowledgeably preview the season and talk to all of you. But there's a lot that has to be done with operations and technical things and branding and trying to get out on Facebook and Instagram and doing all that sort of thing and just freaking editing. I've been just staying up till like 4 and 5 in the morning for like 5 straight days just editing. So I'm not complaining. I love what I do and I chose to do this. The point is that we want to get to a place where your contributions are icing on the cake. That's where we want to be. We want to build out a platform that sustains the operation based on sponsorships and merchandise and all those things. And then your contributions are just out of appreciation. So that's where we would like to be. We're nowhere close to that right now. And hopefully I will still be here talking college football with all of you in the days and weeks and months and years to come. But TFJ Boxing, thank you so much for that. And I don't know, as DeAndre, our guy DeAndre, says on a regular basis, and it's very true, if everybody, and when I say everybody, even 10%. I got 26,000 subscribers here, and I got like 55,000 subscribers total on all the channels. And I know those are overlaps. A lot of you, thank you so much for subscribing to multiple channels. But so it's maybe it's 50,000 people, whatever it is. Oh my goodness. If you look at some of these, like, and my video views are all over the place depending on the topic and when it's released. But, you know, that we did a live stream last week, and I appreciate everybody responding to a late notification because the JTT announcement came up. Tui Moloau eventually committing to Ohio State and making that announcement. We did a live stream at the last second. I thought it was a great live stream because we brought on Steve Hellwagon and Tony Gerdeman, and we've got like over 11,000 views on all those videos from that live stream that went to different platforms. But my goodness, I look at that and then I see a comment like this and I think, you know, if just half those people gave $1, or if 10% of those people gave $1. So anyway, it has the potential to add up. All right. So thank you so much, TFJ Boxing. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Who's on the line? Hello? Yes, who's on the line?
Hello?
Yes. Hello?
Can you hear me?
Yes, I can.
Oh, okay.
What's up?
All right. How you doing, man?
I'm doing well. What's up?
Not much. Mark Rogers.
That's me. Who am I speaking with?
Okay, cool. You're speaking with Gentry.
Gentry, how are you?
Yes, sir. I'm all right tonight.
Good.
You a college football fan? Who's your team?
Who's my team?
Yeah.
Ohio State.
Ohio State. Okay, not bad, man. Y'all got a pretty good chance at it this year. I'm a Oklahoma fan, and I like to say it off first off. The NIL, I don't even know what the hell it stands for, but 75 to 85% of the players are going to spend all that money. I mean, there's just no way to, you know. We'll see what happens with that. First off, I'd like to know who do you think is going to win it all this year?
Well, I've not made my predictions, but so those are coming out at some point. I don't have a prediction for you right this second on July 10th or whatever it is. So we will release our predictions. We always do.
I mean, that's a good thing. Yeah. One thing I'm kind of curious about is Kansas State.
Yeah, you got to beat them this year.
Yeah, OU will probably win. I mean, they've lost to them 2 years in a row, but they got this coach, Chris Kleiman. He used to coach for North Dakota State. He won 4 national championships there, 3 in a row. I mean, he went 8-5 his first season there, which is kind of part of fucking Snyder's coaching, and he went 4-6 last year. I mean, I wonder what they're going to do this year.
Kansas State, I know they've got a pretty difficult game with Stanford non-conference. And, of course, they play everyone in the Big 12 and should win the rest of their non-conference, their other 2 non-conference games. Again, we will predict Kansas State's season, but I think they're in the 6-6 range.
I mean, that sounds about right. You know, I think they might, you know, like, be a pretty big competitor, you know, like in a couple of years or so. And you got to look out for Iowa State, too. They kind of got something going on up there. But I really think it's Oklahoma's year to shine. I think they're going to win it all, straight up.
Yeah, I know that the Oklahoma fan base is very encouraged and optimistic, and you should be. Gentry? I think he's gone. All right. So we appreciate everybody being here at the Voice of College Football. And again, I had two reasons basically to do the live stream tonight, although we do this on a fairly regular basis on these Saturdays and Sunday nights, mostly Sunday nights. I'll come on here. My son comes over on Sunday nights, so we have a nice little time catching up, and he's extremely busy throughout the week. So we have a regular Sunday night get together, watch the football games during the football season and whatever, and eat and do whatever else, but just hang out and catch up. So he's got to get up early, walks out the door at 11:30. So on a fairly regular occasion, I figure let's talk some college football. I don't want to wait until tomorrow to talk college football. In addition to that, I worked about 5 hours on the camera setup. Just wanted to test that out. I did it offline, tested it out, made sure we were in good shape. Just wanted to see how it would look live. And then also in addition to that, I was just so I appreciate the encouragement when trolls hit me up, and then I respond to that, and everybody encourages me and says, "Don't get down, Mark. There are trolls out there." Please understand, I appreciate your support, but those kind of comments don't bother me whatsoever. I think they're funny, is why I respond to them at times. Some I don't respond to. I just don't take the time. Other ones I do. So you don't need to be concerned or worried about them like affecting my psyche or my level of sleep or anything like that. It really doesn't matter to me. Don't look at it that way. Sam is telling us here that we should be shooting for 200 watching live. So we can do much better than that, Sam. So I know that we're looking at whatever we've got, 71 on here right now. I don't know how high that got, but 71 on here. So consider that there was no notification. It was not scheduled. There's not necessarily a big topic going on right now. And then also consider that we do live shows multiple times per week, and our Miami and Florida State shows have been in the 150 range. And during bowl season and playoff time, we had a live stream during bowl week that almost hit 1,000. And we had several that were in the 400 to 800 range of live viewers. So 200, I appreciate that being a goal, but that should be a goal to be more like on a regular basis. Ho hum every night, 200 people. Yeah, we want to do much better than that, because I figure if we've got 75 people on the line and most of you are pretty faithful viewers, that if you guys run out there and grab 3 or 4 people, 5 people, 20 people, whatever, you blast it out on social media, and then you also just kind of face-to-face directly talk to people and say, hey, you love college football, you're a big Nebraska fan, you're a big USC fan, whoever it is, and say, man, this Mark Rogers guy talks college football every day. Best discussion, debate, and analysis. That's the aim, that's the goal, that's a mission. I don't promise and say that that's the conclusion or result every day. That's where we're headed. That's the aim. That is the aim. So I see no reason why this can't multiply quickly. And that's just by word of mouth. If I get my Facebook act together, maybe we'll get out there with some Facebook ads when I think it'll actually. So I appreciate your point here, Sam. What are you saying here? I hope you didn't take that the wrong way. I didn't mean that as a criticism. I just meant this as, yeah, that would be perfect. Yes, that is my point, Mark. 200 on a casual stream means you've leveled up, so to speak. Yes. And so I truly appreciate, I don't think I do a good job of communicating this on a regular basis. I truly appreciate that there's a ton of you that get on here at the spur of the moment. I'll send out a notification, or I sometimes won't even get a chance to send out a notification because sometimes my schedule will change or something will happen, and I'll just, bam, I'm going live. And a lot of you just show up. So I greatly appreciate that. During the season, I think I can forget the off season in terms of establishing a schedule. We do have Nebraska Live Tuesday night at 8. These are Eastern time. Ohio State Wednesday at 2. Florida State Wednesday at 6. Miami Thursday at 5 and at 7, because we've got 2 different contributors. So non-Miami fans, I know I get criticized at times for having 2 Miami live streams. That's because it gets supported. The Miami live streams are supported better than the other live streams. So, shoot, maybe we'll add a third. And then we do Oklahoma. It's Friday at 2:30 Eastern time. So those are the set live streams. And then I'm here every Wednesday at 8 Eastern. And then the rest of the time, I just jump on here and send out notifications. Like I'm going to come on tomorrow night, Monday night, 7 Eastern. We'll be here, 7 Eastern, taking your calls. Going to lead with Notre Dame football talk. But of course, we can talk about anything on your mind. And then I will think through the football calendar, and I will think through the weekly grind and what that should look like, and we will set a schedule for the football season. You who have been here for football season, you know what Saturday is going to look like. Saturday we go full throttle. Saturday's full throttle. And if I keep looking to the side here, it's because I've got the live chat now on this monitor. I used to have, this is what I was using for the camera. I was just using the webcam because I had 2 cameras go south on me. So I was using the webcam for maybe the last year plus. And I used to have it on a stack of books, like right there on a stack of books. And I would have the live chat right on the screen. So I would just look at the live chat right here and post the comments to the screen. But now I've got to look over to the side here. So I'm not paying attention, or I'm not distracted. I am reading the live chat comments, but they're no longer right in front of me. They're now over here. Maybe I'll move this back over here. And it's going to get into the shot. Anyway, so we'll work with it. But I like the wider shot. I don't want a big tight shot on me. I like the wider shot that we achieve here with this camera. But thank you so much, Sam, for the comment concerning the number of people in the live stream. So what was I talking about? Saturdays. Oh, for those of you who have joined us all the way back to the 2020 season and before that, you know what the deal is on Saturday. Saturday, we start watching football at noon Eastern. And then right around those times, the time at which those games are wrapping up, like 3:15 in the afternoon, boom, I'm on here. I'm not talking real well tonight for some reason. Maybe I'm a little punch drunk. But anyway, 3:15 in the afternoon, I'm here. We are talking up the noon games and wrapping up the noon games, and we're previewing the 3:45 games. I get off, watch the 3:45 games. I'm watching 3 and 4 games at the same time. I'm flipping all over the place. I got 3 monitors, 4 monitors, watching as many games as possible. Then we do that again around 7:30 or 8 to wrap up the 3:30 games, get you set for the primetime games. We take calls. We do all that. Then we come back late night, do the same thing. And in the meantime, I'm watching like 4 games at the same time through each window, and I'm taking as many notes as possible. And then we provide some instant analysis videos. In addition to that, we've got bonus coverage on college football game days coming this season. I will have more details about that coming up soon. In the next few weeks, there'll be a big announcement concerning our college football coverage this fall that will just blow up, will be greatly expanded. Okay. Also, keep in mind that I committed to this a few days ago, that I haven't set the exact time, although in my head, I believe I've mapped it out. I'm going to be on live for 24 hours in a row. I did build a banner, but I think it's not on this particular file. So I built a banner. I'm going to build another one here. Ah, shoot. Week 1. 24 hours of live coverage in a row. Don't ask me what that's going to look like. I don't know if I'm going to sit here for 24. When I sit here for 2 hours and then I get up, I feel like I can't walk. Like when I'm here for 2.5 hours and then I get up, like my knees, my hips are shot. I got to the blood is not circulating at that point. So I don't know what I'm going to do for 24 hours. We're going to have to walk around. We're going to have to eat. We're going to have to take care of some other bodily functions of some sort. Anyway, we'll figure it out, but we're going to be live to some degree for 24 consecutive hours to open the college football season. I have thought about this for years and years and years. I wanted to do this for years and years and years, but I always chicken out and don't do it. But I've already committed myself to it. I've already promised you that I'm going to be live for 24 consecutive hours opening week of college football. Not during the games. We're not going to do it during the games. I think I have a feel for how we're going to do it. I don't like to be on during the games. Now, you can't help that on Saturday. There are games going on all the time, but I try to hit the windows after the noon, before the 3:30s, after the 3:30s, before the prime time, etc. So there's going to be some games on, but at the same time, we're going to please do it. Yes, please do it. I think you're talking about the 24 hours. We are doing it. I've committed myself to it there, Sebastian. So I think the way we're going to look at it, TFJ, 24 straight. I already don't know how you get enough sleep. Now that, how do you do it? I am used to, I was doing the same thing I'm doing now before October with 50 hours at ESPN every week. So actually, this seems like a vacation. What was I going to say? Oh, so week 1, we'll forget week 0. We'll cover week 0. Hawaii's playing UCLA and Illinois and Nebraska and a bunch of no-name teams. And you know what the deal is on week 0. But I still love week 0. It gives me a chance to watch Colorado State play, teams like that I'll never watch the rest of the season. Week 1, of course, there are decent Thursday night games, Ohio State, Minnesota, and others. So this is what I'm thinking is that we'll want to be on after the Ohio State, Minnesota game and the other games, whoever else is playing Thursday night. There's like 5 decent games. We'll want to be on after those games until, 2 in the morning? So I believe we are going to come on the previous day's 2 in the morning. I think that's what I'm going to start the 24-hour live stream at 2 a.m. Eastern Thursday morning on all day. So overnight, all day. Then we'll do the games that night. I guess we're going to have a watch party. Don't expect to get much out of me during a watch party. I like to watch football. You guys can talk. And then we'll do post game. And then at 2 in the morning, I will be done. That's, I believe, how we're going to do it. All right. I hope I didn't miss any good comments. I think I missed a super chat. So let me catch up with that. I believe I did. Thought I saw one come down in yellow. Who was that? There's our guy, TFJ Boxing. 2 super chats tonight. One from TFJ Boxing, the other from TFJ Boxing. I'm matching Papa Music's donation plus a little more. Papa Music's, I gotta find that one then. Maybe I missed one. That Travion Henderson is gonna do big things for you. Health pending. All right, so Travion Henderson, Evan Pryor, the 2 Ohio State freshman running backs. It's going to be fascinating to see Master Teague, starting running back to start the season. Okay, we also have Marcus Crowley in particular, but then we've got these two guys, Henderson. We got Mayan Williams, who a lot of people like as well. He's a bowling ball. Then we've got the two stud freshmen, Henderson and Pryor. Wouldn't you love to fast forward to week 10, let's say, and know what the running back distribution is going to be at that point? That'll be fascinating to see if T can hang on to his job, how much Crowley factors into it, Mayan Williams, and then the two freshmen. And everybody's looking at Travion Henderson, understandably so. He was the number 1 or 2 running back in the nation. But Evan Pryor was like, that's what happens when it's funny. And this has happened a number of times at Georgia when they signed the number 1 or 2 running back in the nation. Then they signed like the guy that was number 7. What's the difference between those two? Maybe it's substantial, maybe it's not, but everybody focuses on that number 1 guy. And the other guy's like number 4. Like that's he's a marginal player. So there's been little by many people, little attention given to Evan Pryor, more to Travion Henderson. I don't watch high school tape, so I haven't seen either one of them play. I will see them play against Minnesota, hopefully. TFJ Boxing, thank you so much for the contribution. Appreciate that. And it looks like I missed one. There it is. Thank you so much for that, sir. Papa Music. Doing my part, go Bucks. Papa Music, thank you so much for that. This is the first time I've seen you comment to the channel. And so, Papa Music, I want to do this especially for you. Welcome to the Voice of College Football. Would love to know how long you've been watching. I know you're a Buckeyes fan. That's plain to see. Despite the selection of blue on the Super Chat. Papa Music, thank you so much for that. Perfect. 2. Everybody do that once a month. 2. Now, those of you who do more than that, continue to do that. That's great. But if everybody, yeah, that would work. That would keep us going. All right. So, yeah, I dove somewhere in the middle of people being called certain names that, again, gender, race, sexual preference, all those, we don't need that. We don't want it. We don't want to see it. People should not be putting down other people for anything, especially those things or their looks. I cannot say how much it gets my blood boiling. If people want to like make fun of my looks, I don't care about that. I'm pretty secure in the way I look, whether that's good or bad or marginal. It doesn't matter to me. But when people in the live chat sometimes make fun of the people's looks who are my guests and contributors, that's classless. That's just pathetic. And just about every time those people don't show their face anywhere, it's just disgusting. It's just pathetic. So I saw some back and forth, and I don't discipline anyone when I can't figure out who started this and what did they say. So I just saw back and forth, and it was already in full go, so I didn't know where it started and who was responsible. So Alabama football fan, Roll Tide, thank you so much for cleaning this up by saying basically we can agree to disagree. However, please keep it positive. So you can trash talk. You know what I mean by trash talking. There's a way to do it in a fun way. Trash talk. Don't be personal. People's names in the chat is uncalled for. Calling people names in the chat is uncalled for. Mark does his best to keep this call-in show going. The least we can do is keep it possible. Thank you. All right. And again, TFJ and Papa Music, thank you so much for that. All right. I am talking Texas A&M football tomorrow. We've got Michigan, and then later in the day, those are not live, but those are going to be video posts that are coming your way. I know that it's the time of year, and I probably waited too late. I typically do this usually earlier in the off season is when I run through the schedules and preview schedules. And I didn't do it this year because I usually rank the schedules and then I determine, you know what, really people don't care how I rank the schedules. That used to be like really important to me to rank the schedules. So I would tell all of you, and I would go through this exhaustive process of comparing all the schedules in the country, all 65, the Power 5 schedules. And to do that the right way, that's a lot of work to compare every schedule in the country. But I would do it. And I pretty much figured this year, you know what? Nobody really cares. There's about 5 people out there that care that I think that Florida State's got the 5th best or 5th most difficult schedule in the country. And Miami's is 37th and North Carolina's is 43rd. And yeah, generally people didn't care. So that's a complete waste of my time. So, but I should do schedule previews, but that's pretty much passed me by. So I should probably just maybe bypass the schedule previews and go right into season predictions. Now this goes against my typical approach because I usually unveil my predictions the night before the season, the eve of the season. But from a YouTube standpoint, that doesn't make sense. I should be releasing my predictions now because then they've got a long shelf life that people will be watching them for 2 months practically. It's nice of you there. Larkin 2010. I subscribed. You're a kick-ass dude. Thank you. Appreciate that. Would love to know who you root for, how long you've been watching. Thank you so much for that. And you even cleaned up the grammar. Well done. U''RE, the proper use of your. Nice job, Lurkin. All right, everyone. I'm going to pack it up. I hope I didn't miss anything crucial here. Hey, it's college football. It's not crucial. We have a lot of time to talk college football. I'm still determining again what I'm going to do with these predictions. And yes, CBR Sooner. This is the first time I've ever seen your handle. So we know that you root for Oklahoma. Hopefully you're locked in on our Oklahoma channel. I apologize that I just got the call-in number up there a few times. So my apologies there. I've got a file. And actually the call-in studio ended anyway for some reason. I don't know why that happened. The call-in system shut down. But typically I'll post the call-in number on the ticker at the bottom of the screen. But for some reason, it opened a different file and it had a bunch of different banners. So, all right. Again, I'll send out the notifications, but you can count on tomorrow night, Monday night, 7 o'clock Eastern, right here at the Voice of College Football. We'll lead off with a Notre Dame commitment that's supposed to be huge. Bring on Nathan Erbach, and then I'll take all of your calls as well right here at the Voice of College Football. Great to see all of you. See you tomorrow night. And let me answer this question. We do live streams with people that have agreed to do live streams every week. So with our Miami people, Florida State, Ohio State, Oklahoma, they've agreed. Nebraska, they've agreed that at a particular time each week, they have committed to doing a live stream. The Michigan people have not. I'm not saying that they won't. I should ask them, but we don't have time. We don't have a set commitment to do a Michigan live stream each week. I think it would do very well. The Michigan channel is doing pretty well. So I would love to do all sorts of live streams if I could clone myself 8 times over. But Michigan would be one of the first ones we would do because the Michigan content does well, and we've got a lot of Michigan fans here. And we've got a lot of Ohio State fans that would like to join the Michigan live streams, I'm sure. Florida comes to mind. We got Florida fans in here. We got Clemson fans in here in particular. Those would probably be the next few fan bases that we would do live shows. But again, stay tuned for our announcement that's coming in the next few weeks. I don't want to unveil it yet because it's not completely pulled together, but we are going to blow out coverage on game days coming up this fall. But I appreciate the concern there, Rod Farva. Yes, a Michigan live stream would be phenomenal. I'm going to do every week against the spread picks. Yes, we pick games against the spread. I've been doing it for years and years and years, and you will make money if you listen to me. Wow, I put my neck on the line saying that, didn't I? But that is the track record. I am not a handicapper or an odds maker, nor do I spend hours and hours forming my picks and crunching data. But I got a decent knack at it, and I am successful. Yes, media days are coming up. You know what? That's a great reminder. It's just me, Tim. I am going to do that right now, is actually look and line up so I can schedule out the SEC and the Big Ten and all the conference media days. Because if you look back at old videos and look back through the years, I have hit media days hard. So I try to watch all the media days, try to cover all the news conferences, watch them and respond to them. Great point. It's just me, Tim, because this snuck up on me. It was just a few days ago that I was like, oh, wow. Media days are coming up. Yeah, it's like here. Lurkin, I apologize if you wanted to call in. Again, I had a file that was different than the typical file. Therefore, I didn't post the call-in number. And many of you have been so phenomenal in tracking the call-in number that it causes me. And then I start getting phone calls and I forget. I'm not even posting the number because I got a bunch of regulars that are calling me. And so I apologize for that. Patreon, Sebastian, beautiful. So you can join me on Patreon. Just go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV. You can do it that way. You should be able to find me easily. Go to Patreon, search Mark Rogers TV, or go to the description section of any of the videos and you'll see Patreon listed in caps. Go to the link right next to it. It's $5 a month. That's just like 17 cents per day. What you're going to get, full transparency, is you're going to see not a whole lot on there right now. But you know what? That's not up to me. That's up to my patrons, our Voice of College Football community. So, Sebastian, here's the deal. If you sign up for Patreon, I will deliver a exclusive live stream each week per request. That's the key phrase. I say this all the time, per request. I'm not going to do a live stream on Patreon every week if nobody's going to watch and there's going to be like 3 people on the line. Per request, I will, though. All you got to do is request it. And I promise to deliver at least one exclusive live stream for our Patreon community each week. So that's one benefit. Benefit number 2 is you get my predictions there. Now, we may do something different with that this season, but for the past 2 football seasons, my predictions have been exclusively on Patreon. Number 3, Steve Merrill from Wager Talk and Pro Sports Info comes on each week during the football season and provides his pick of the week on Patreon. Also, for those of you who enjoy the insider look at the Voice of College Football, I show you what I'm working on. And if you've got any other recommendations or requests, make those known as well. Alabama football fan roll tide. Thank you so much for reminding everyone that to hit the like button. Yes, we will do picks against the spread. What was my record last year? My record, what's great is when people ask me for my record, I can't lie about my record. When you look up somebody's website and you see that they make predictions and they say, you know, we're 62% against the spread or whatever, that's probably verified. But with me, it's right there. I can't lie about my record. My record, all the videos are posted. They're all posted up until the last 2 football seasons. They're right on YouTube. So you can look at all my predictions on YouTube. And then the last 2 years, they're documented on Patreon. All right, everyone. It's great. Elena, good to see you as well. Thank you so much for joining, and everybody else. Too many people to name. I do want to catch up with CBR sooner. Yes, sir, Mark. I've been a listener for quite some time, just not a regular in the comments section, I guess, and I am definitely sub to the OU channel. Great work. Thank you so much, sir. Appreciate that. And it will be great to catch up with everyone tomorrow night at 7 Eastern. See you then.